And we're live.
Ah,
So, hello everybody, and welcome to day 19 of Freedom from Anxiety in Uncertain Times. And I have the lovely Vicky back with me today. So, do say hello if you're here, so we know who's with us. A little wave. So, Vicky and I were just having a quick chat before coming online, and I was telling her that I'd had another question in last night, and it's somewhat similar to the question that Julie and I spoke about yesterday, but it's from a different angle. So that seemed to go over well yesterday when we had two people chatting about an answer to a question. So we'll go for that again today, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to call out. I'll just read the question, and it's a beautiful question. So it says, I'm listening in and I'm starting to feel my well-being. I love when I'm quiet and serene. I can feel it in my body and it feels really peaceful. But when I'm not there, the anxiety comes back in and I feel that too. And I see my thinking and I also see that I'm trying to get back to the lovely feeling. And I'm trying to remember that it's okay, but I'm also seeing that I'm frustrated that I'm still trying. And I just long for the quiet space. That's such a normal thing.
wow, yeah. We all do.
We all do. Yeah, yeah. So do you want to have a bash at that, Vicky? And
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
join in.
what comes to mind is exactly that. Well, welcome to being human.
Yeah.
Like if you've been listening to Jan for any length of time, you'll be getting the understanding that we feel our thinking, and that our thinking appears and it disappears, and we don't get to say when it appears and disappears.
Yeah.
So some days we'll have days when there'll be thoughts of, I don't know, something that we don't want. And we'll feel that and we won't want it because we've experienced the days of feeling or minutes of feeling peaceful with those lovely, peaceful thoughts or feelings.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't get to control any of that. It just is. It's just part of being a human being, that we experience all of it, that we have every thought, we can have every feeling, we can have every emotion. Much like you've talked about the weather a lot, and I love using that analogy of, we don't sit in the house looking out the window going, oh my gosh, it's raining again, and I want to stop it raining, it's got to stop raining, how am I going to stop it raining? Well, okay, what would happen if I poked the clouds and tried to change the shape of them and tried to get the water out quicker? And we don't do that. We just pick up an umbrella and we put our coat on and we go out. We know that we can't control the weather.
We might moan a bit anyway.
More than likely moan. And there's another thing to see, isn't there? The more we resist what is. Yeah. We can get all upset about the fact that it's raining and that it shouldn't be raining, and that it would be much nicer if it was sunny, and it's too dark and it's this. But the only way that we are going to get upset by that is to follow that judgment. If we can just be with what is, it's raining. Okay, so I pick up my umbrella and put my coat on.
And off I go.
That's it. There's nothing more.
Yeah.
And so, just from what this person's talking about, it's like she is trying to control that experience, which is uncontrollable.
It is. And just to add to that, because that's exactly it. It also, for me, because I was so reliant on my rational mind, it takes me back to that, in the early days, I really thought I could think my way back into well-being. But you start to see that it's not a product of your rational mind. It's not something that we can manufacture. Our well-being is something that we kind of fall in and out of. And it's not something that we're doing. It's a happening. And as our moods go up and down, our feelings of well-being will go up and down, and that's part of being human. And I think it's George Pransky says that it's about being graceful in the lows and grateful in the highs.
I love that.
That's a beautiful one, yeah. And that really helped me, because when I got caught up, when the thought storms did come, and I was caught up in them, and I still get caught up in them.
I was going to say, me too.
Yeah, we all do. That saying just kind of reminds me that I can be grateful for how far I've come.
Yeah.
That we're always going to be on the learning curve. As long as we're alive, there's going to be more to see at a deeper and deeper level all the time. And that just like there's an ebb and flow to the tides, there's an ebb and flow to us. And, if we're in the ebb, then we might be feeling rotten, whereas when we're in flow, we feel our well-being. Yeah. And it's right back to what you spoke about, the resistance. As soon as we are not comfortable with what's uncomfortable, then we start suffering.
Yeah.
And I know, one of my big questions was, but when I'm feeling this way, there must be something I can do.
I want to do something.
Yeah, give me a doing. Yeah. And I think it was from the Nicola at some point said, well, you're wasting your time looking for it when you're so uncomfortable with what's going on, because when you're not comfortable with the discomfort, you're in resistance, and you're never going to find it when you're in resistance. And it's not for us to find. And it's just seeing that, celebrating the moments, I suppose, when they do come. And the more we stick around, the more of those moments we have. Yeah. And when we can sit in appreciation for the wonder and the magic of those moments, then we can be grateful for those even when we're caught up.
Yeah, and what you say about being graceful with the lows, it's like, we all experience that, the ups and the downs. Yeah. And whenever I'm, when I am in one of those kind of places where I just don't want to be, it is that recognition that you're there. And rather than looking at, but I want to be over there, I want to be back in that bit, but just to be able to sit and say, oh, okay, I'm feeling a bit down today, or I'm feeling a bit anxious. Like, to acknowledge where you actually are, rather than be constantly looking to where you want to be. That does something. It moves you through it.
It does.
If you can just let it be there, it's just a part of your human experience that you're having a down day, that you're feeling anxious or worried or upset, or and it's hard to say it's okay, because it doesn't feel like it's okay when you're there. No. But to know that you'll never get stuck there, like, you look back in your past experience and from experience that you never get stuck there.
No, it always passes. Yeah.
And when I talk to kids about this, we talk about a system that we're, like, built into our well-being is a system of calm. It's built into us, so that we never stay really angry. Like, we can be really angry, but how long can you stay there? You can't stay there very long.
No.
Until you come back to being calm and you don't do anything. It's just what happens.
That's it.
In the same way that if you're feeling really sad or really happy or really excited, you cannot maintain that.
Yes.
We don't get stuck in any of it.
No.
We always come back to this calm, reset position. It's
absolutely,
our birth position, as it were.
Yeah. And I think it's also true to say that, well, it was for me anyway, that the more I started to understand how the system worked, the less tolerance I had for the low moods and the bad feelings, because you just become more sensitive to them. Before this, I just thought that's the way it was, so that's the way it was, and just, you did what you did and you pushed through. Whereas now, because I see it so much faster and recognize it so much faster, it's different. But I know that I have a lower tolerance for it now. But I also know that when I start feeling the intensity of negative feelings, that's the love letter to tell me I'm suffering. Yeah. And all that signaling is, it's time to take care of yourself now. It's time to be gentle with yourself and kind with yourself and compassionate with yourself. And it is an easier and more graceful journey through those intense feelings when I can acknowledge that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And that the signal doesn't mean anything about me, or it doesn't mean anything is wrong. The signal is just to say, oh, Jen, you really need to take care of yourself right now.
And don't make any decisions. And don't
zip your lips.
What was it? Nicola once said to me, take a holiday from yourself. Like, you know, just don't do what you think you need to do. Your head will be going crazy and telling you that this needs to be sorted out, or that needs to be sorted out, or this is wrong, or that's wrong. And it's like, yeah, just take it with a pinch of salt, because the feelings there, like you said, those feelings are there to tell you, don't go that way.
No. And I don't know, for other people, I journal, I like to journal. And I know that when I get into that space now, I'll write down everything that I'm thinking and seeing, and then just park it. And if I come back to it a couple of days later, when I've settled and my mood is better and my thinking is better, and I read it, and now I just look at it and I go, really? Yeah. Did I really think that? Because the world looks different when we're in a low place and we're feeling all that intensity. But I suppose for this poor person that's feeling frustrated, they're looking for their well-being when they're caught up. And, you know, the thing that helped me most was just becoming comfortable with the intensity. My sister has a great saying, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And, you know, she says she's been saying it for years. And I used to find it quite frustrating at one time, going, you know, well, it's not, that's grand when it passes, but it's here now. This too shall pass doesn't help me. And it didn't help me without an understanding, but it's the easier way out, because the more comfortable we become with the discomfort in our bodies, knowing that it will pass, that seems to be the pathway to passing a little faster.
Yes, definitely. Definitely goes quicker.
Yeah. Whereas it's the trying and the getting frustrated and all of that. So yeah, see that you're doing that, but have a bit of compassion for yourself.
Yeah.
That you're just in a low place and you're human, and that's how you're reacting, and know that it'll pass.
Yeah. And stop trying to control the weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because once you realize that it's not in your control in the same way that the weather isn't, you realize the futility of trying.
Yeah. You can't think your way into well-being.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Go and have a walk, or have a cup of tea, or sit and watch telly, or
absolutely.
You know, like, in my experience, whenever I try, if I think, well, I mean, I feel really horrible or whatever, but I've got to work, I've got to do this today, this has to be done, that has to be done, the washing needs doing, the cooking, you know, it's like, well, maybe that's not true. Maybe it would be a better use of your time to just take a step back and
just chill for a while.
Yeah. Take a pause.
It's like the the flying analogy that I know Michael Neal has used it, and I've heard other teachers use it as well, about when people are flying small planes, learning how to fly, and the plane goes into a tailspin, and people try to do everything that they can with the controls to get it to right itself, and that's the worst thing you can do, because you're going to crash. That, you know, the thing to do when you're in a tailspin is take your hands off the controls, let autopilot kick in, and the system will recalibrate itself. And it's just such a wonderful analogy for when we get caught up ourselves, because that's exactly what we need to do. Just take our hands off, step back, as you said, and the system will calibrate itself. And it mightn't be immediately in that moment. You know, and that's what the lady yesterday was saying. You know, I can see my thinking, but it's not helping me. I still feel awful.
Yes.
So it may not be immediate, but as soon as you see it and acknowledge it and allow it to be there, then it starts to shift and change.
Yeah. It's never to our time scales, is it?
No.
Weather, you know,
never.
If you want it to stop raining, it will carry on raining, you know, like 3 days. But we can't know when it will happen.
Exactly. Whereas the more comfortable we can become with all those uncomfortable feelings, then even, you know, in a horrible moment when we can feel a panic attack coming on, you know, we can kind of go, oh, here it comes. Let's just see what it's going to do this time. And you can stand back and take your hands off it and let it play out. And what I've seen around that is that when I allow myself to do it, it often doesn't develop into the full-blown panic attack that it might have before. And it tends to fizzle out a little bit faster, and it doesn't gain the same level of intensity.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah. So you're not putting more logs on the fire.
No.
Just let the fire burn itself out.
Yeah. And again, a lot of these things are counterintuitive. They don't appear to the rational mind as a helpful thing to do. But the more we understand how the human system works, the more we tend to allow it. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is. So, yeah, I think that brings us full circle. Vicky, can I take your website address or a place that I can pop into the comments where people can contact you if anybody wants to reach out?
Sure. It's freefromlimits.co.uk.
.co.uk. Grand. I will put that in the comments when we're done. And it's been so lovely having you here, and thank you for coming back again today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me again.
I think it's always lovely to hear other voices. You know, we all come with something a little different.
Well, it's always lovely to have a chat with you.
Yeah, you too. Always. So until the next time, thank you. And for our listeners, we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining us again today. So be well, everybody, and talk tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.